The world didn't give it to me. Oh, this joy that I have, the world didn't give it to me. Don't you know that? This joy that I have, the world didn't give it to me. Oh, I said the world didn't give it, the world can't take it away. Oh, this strength that I have, this strength that I have, this strength that I have. Oh yeah, now the world didn't give it to me. The world didn't give it to me. This strength that I have. Oh yeah, the world didn't give it to me. The world didn't give it to me. This strength that I have. Oh yeah, the world didn't give it to me. Oh, I said the world didn't give it, the world can't take it away. Oh, this love that I have, this love that I have. Oh yeah, now the world didn't give it to me. The world didn't give it to me. This love that I have. Oh yeah, the world didn't give it to me. Don't you know that? This love that I have, yeah, the world didn't give it to me. Singing, the world didn't give it, the world can't take it away. This pride that I have, this pride that I have, this pride that I have. Oh yeah, now the world didn't give it to me. The world didn't give it to me. This pride that I have, I said the world didn't give it to me. Don't you know that? This pride that I have, yeah, the world didn't give it to me. Oh, I said the world didn't give it, the world can't take it away. All this peace that I have, yeah. The world didn't give it to me. The world didn't give me my peace that I have. Oh yeah, now the world didn't give it to me. Won't you sing about peace? This peace that I have. Oh yeah, now the world didn't give it to me. I said the world didn't give it, the world can't take it away. Oh, this joy that I have, this joy that I have, this joy that I have. Oh yeah, now the world didn't give it to me. The world didn't give it to me. This joy that I have. I said the world didn't give it to me. Don't you know that? This joy that I have, the world didn't give it to me. Oh, I said the world didn't give it, the world can't take it away. The world didn't give it, and the world can't take it away. The world didn't give it, the world can't take it away. The world didn't give it, and the world can't take it away. The world didn't give it, the world can't take it away. The world didn't give it, and the world can't take it away. The world didn't give it, the world can't take it away.
Resistance Revival Chorus believes in the words written by the poet Toy Derricott.
Yay, yay, rousing this morning. Welcome, friends, gathered in the sanctuary on Zoom and later on our YouTube channel. It is so good to be together. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Franklin, to the Smoky Mountains of Western North Carolina and Northeast Georgia, and the ancestral home of the Cherokee people. We're a lay-led congregation of progressive minds and caring connections for over 53 years. My name is Mary Teslow, and I'm delighted to be your service leader this morning. We extend a warm welcome to those who may be visiting with us today for the first time or returning after a while. We're so glad you're with us and look forward to getting to know you better. There will be an opportunity to introduce yourself later in the service, and you can sign up for our newsletter in the guest book in the foyer. Each Sunday we spend this hour as one fellowship family, those near and far, affectionately the Roomies and the Zoomies. We begin with our gathering hymn, number 123 in the hymnal, Spirit of Life. Roomies, please rise in body or spirit, and then we'll stay standing for our wave hello.
Yes, and for visitors, we do a sign language version. Just watch the people around you, but you'll catch on fast. We hope to do in Spanish.
Hallelujah.
But I love it.
Now, roomies, please turn,
yes.
please turn to your right and wave to the camera above the door.
That's where they see us from, over
And
the
the
door.
Zoomies will wave back to us. You can see them on the monitor.
There they are.
You can see them on the monitor there. Wonderful, thank you. This simple act, please be seated. This simple act of connection reminds us that despite our distance, we're all part of this loving community. As a lay-led congregation, we appreciate all our volunteers, including our Sunday service team, Warren, Ben, Edgar, Penny on Zoom, Jude for our music, and Claire for our YouTube channel. Our greeters this morning, greeter was Bill, Hospitality, Dana, Karen, Jeff, and with help from Charisma and Harmony. Announcements for the fellowship and the community. Do we have any announcements on Zoom? Please be sure to keep up to date by checking the UU View, the website, and the bulletin board down in Celebration Hall. We encourage everyone not feeling well to join us on Zoom. We also have supplies at the entry and a reminder to request anyone testing positive or significantly exposed to contact our president, Jude Lowry. Our fellowship is a light for liberal religion in the mountains that values diversity and the richness it brings to our community. Our celebration of diversity is reflected in the variety of our Sunday services. In addition to different topics, our service sequence and length sometimes vary. We hope today's service enriches your journey of discovery. This morning, we're pleased to welcome Nancy Pheasant, Cherokee artisan and storyteller, to help us celebrate Women's History Month. I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge that the town of Franklin has recently officially transferred ownership of the sacred Nikwashi Mound on Main Street to the Eastern Band of Cherokee Indians, restoring the historic site to the tribe after more than 150 years. The mound, known to the Cherokee as Star Place, is of deep cultural, spiritual, and historical importance. The 1,000-year-old mound was formerly a Cherokee mother town. The land is now officially tribal property with plans for the tribe for future stewardship and education. Nancy will visit with the Zoomies at the end of the service. Our chalice lighting. We light this chalice in honor of the women who came before us, women whose names fill the pages of history, and women whose names were never written down. We remember teachers, healers, mothers, artists, leaders, and truth tellers. We remember the strength of women who carried culture and wisdom forward. Today, we honor the diverse women who shape our communities, including the women of the Cherokee people, whose resilience, leadership, and sacred relationship with the land continue to guide future generations. May this flame remind us to listen deeply, to honor many voices, and to walk together in justice, compassion, and respect. Come, let us worship. Our opening words: across time and culture, women have held the threads of community. They have preserved language, nurtured children, challenged injustice, and carried forward the songs and stories that teach us who we are. This Women's History Month, we're reminded that the story of women is not a single story. It's a tapestry of courage and creativity woven across many cultures. Today, we give thanks for women whose leadership was quiet and unseen, and those whose voices changed nations. We honor the women among us today, elders who guide us, young people who inspired us, and all who continue the long work of justice, dignity, and compassion. May this gathering open our hearts to wisdom, courage, and community. Our opening song is We Are Dancing, Sarah's Circle. Nancy Pheasant is a talented and passionate artisan and storyteller from the Eastern Band of Cherokee Indians. She resides in the Wolftown community on the Qualla boundary in Cherokee, North Carolina. Nancy's deep connection to her heritage is woven into every piece she creates and every story she tells. The connection between Nancy's artistry and Cherokee culture runs deep. Over the years, she has mastered a variety of mediums, from traditional beadwork and pottery to intricate shell carvings and beyond. Many of her designs are inspired by ancient iconography, paying homage to the visual language crafted by her ancestors. By learning, creating, and practicing these traditional arts, I share my heritage and culture with others, she states. Following in her father's footsteps, she's become a respected storyteller committed to preserving and promoting the rich culture of the Cherokee people. As a cherished member of the Cherokee Storyteller Group, she captivates audiences of all ages by recounting traditional oral histories and legends passed down through the generations. What a joy it is to welcome her to be with us. Please join me in welcoming.
Shio Nagad, Nashi Tandisti Dawado, Wayohi Dagwainasha E Zalagi, North Carolina. Hello everyone, my name is Nancy Pheasant, and I live in the Wolftown community located on the Qualla boundary in Cherokee, North Carolina. First, I want to make this statement. Native American women exist in historical shadows. Most historical sources tend to overlook women's experiences. The issue stems not only from the sources themselves, but also from the approaches of historians. Prior to the mid-19th century, non-native individuals such as explorers, naturalists, soldiers, agents, even missionaries, were responsible for most of the documented information that is out there. These observers wrote what they saw, sometimes not even understanding the meaning behind a lot of the things that they wrote about or that they even witnessed, making the records challenging for scholars to interpret. Recognizing these biases and preconceptions had led to the development of ethnohistory, which utilizes anthropological models of kinship, of political structures, of economic systems, and worldviews that inform the research that is available. With that being said, it is a privilege to stand here before you today, especially on Women's History Month. And I'm only here to offer a brief look at Cherokee women specifically, our past and our present. Thanks to the women who came before me and the legacy within my DNA, I stand here as a strong, resilient, independent Cherokee woman. Like my father, I am not only a historian, but also a storyteller. Through stories, our Cherokee people have passed down our knowledge, our stories from one generation to the next, which encompasses a better understanding of even our culture. Growing up, I often heard my dad start his stories with this one phrase: "This is what the old men told me when I was a boy." He always started his stories with that one statement. I cannot use that statement. I am not a boy, nor am I a man, but I am woman. And I do want to begin with a story. I want to tell the story of first man and first woman, because the Cherokee culture and our belief system, we did too have a first man and a first woman. First man is known as Kanani, which is a Cherokee word that, if you translate that into the English language, simply means lucky hunter. And first woman, her name was Shailu, which is a Cherokee word for corn. Corn is a staple to the Cherokee people, always has been, for that comes from Shailu, first woman. The men in our culture have always been a provider for the family through their hunting. But the women, we were the gatherers. We were the ones that stayed back in the villages. We were the community makers. We were the decision makers as well. And because of this, it leads to our matrilineal society that we live under. It was through our women that a Cherokee word known as tohi, which is not, I cannot translate that word into the English language. The closest I can come to that is tohi simply means being in balance with someone, with something, with everything around us, and also having that harmony of that balance that comes with it. So with that, back to the story itself, Kanadi and Shailu, they had two sons. One was a biological son, and the other one was an adopted son. They were opposites, which falls back on Tohi. One was very mild nature, very respectful, very fun-loving, but very obedient as well. Whereas Wild Boy, which was the name of the adopted son, he was the complete opposite. He was very mischievous, and he led his brother into a lot of things that got them both into trouble. But they were also very curious about the world around them, which most children are, even today. That is why you've always heard the saying, be careful what you say and what you do. It is our responsibility as adults to be those role models for our children because they're like sponges. They absorb everything. And these two boys were the same way. They were very curious about their world, and they started noticing that when Kanadi left on his hunts, he always came back. He never came back without something for the family to eat. And they got very curious about that. And they decided they were going to follow him one day, and they did. They followed to see where he hunted, how he got the animals, the game that he brought home to the family. And as they ventured out and they watched him, they followed him to a cave that had a large stone in front of it. And Kanadi rolled the stone away, and a deer emerged out. He immediately used his bow and arrow and shot the deer, rolled the stone back, and brought the deer home to the family for Shailu to clean. Well, the boys, being boys, decided they too could be like Kanadi. And once he was out of sight, they rolled, they pushed and shoved, and helped each other to roll that stone away. Well, when they did this, first a few animals came out. They grabbed their bows and arrows, and they kept shooting and shooting, trying to bring home the game. But the longer they stood there, the more all the animals started flooding out of that entrance to the cave, and they came faster and faster, and the boys could not keep up. Soon, the animals started to dwindle, and they all escaped from the cave. It is because of this that we still have to hunt as Cherokee people, even today. But the story continues. If I can get down to the rest of it. The story continues. One day the boys were also very curious, and they were complaining to Shailu that they were hungry. And she was always the one at home to prepare the meals. She would go out to the storehouse, gather what she needed, and immediately come back to cook. Well, they followed her that day, and they watched her. They were surprised. They saw her stand there and rub her belly. When she rubbed her belly, corn fell into a basket that was at her feet. After she did that, she started rubbing both of her sides, and beans fell into another basket. The boys saw this. They weren't scared, but they knew she was a skilly. A skilly is a Cherokee word that you guys would recognize as a witch. So they thought their mother was a witch. They ran back to the home and waited for her to return. And when she did, she immediately realized and knew that the boys had watched. She even knew what was in their minds. She knew that their intentions, because they thought she was a witch, was to end her life. Because of this, she instructed the boys. As a mother, we are always more giving of ourselves than we take in. And with that thought in mind, she instructed the boys, once you do this, I need you to prepare a field. Drag my body around the perimeter of that field 7 times. Once you do that, then you need to drag the body within the field 7 times. Then I need you to stay awake and watch the corn all night long. The boys agreed to do that. So once the evil deed was done, that's exactly what they did. They cleared the field, and they dragged her body around the perimeter of that field. But boys being boys, and it was a lot of work. Labor is not fun, especially for kids. They decided, 2 times will be enough. So they dragged her body around twice on the outside and twice on the inside. That is the reason that when you do a garden and you farm to this day, and the Cherokee belief system is that you do your garden twice a year per season. And we continue to do this even today. The reason for her instruction for the boys to stay up all night was to ensure that they would always have ample food. The boys stayed up, and they did watch all night. And that morning, they had plenty of ripe corn. And because of that, even to this day, as long as the Cherokee people grow corn in our gardens, we will always have something to eat. So you can see from this story that it illustrates the matrilineal nature, it's a hard word to say, matrilineal nature of the Cherokee people in our society, where men handled a lot of the major decisions. They were the war chiefs. They hunted and managed warfare, but the women led the community and the family life, and even founded our clan system. By sharing responsibilities and dividing that labor, women achieved equal status with men in our communities. Their sense of self and personal welfare was not dependent on their husbands. Although men often made the decisions, women were respected elders whose opinions mattered in those important decisions, and they were included in all aspects of life. There are countless remarkable Cherokee women that I want to highlight today. Unfortunately, our time is limited, so I can only provide a brief glimpse. And it was hard for me to make that decision. Who am I going to speak about? Because there are so many. But if you try to do that research on written paper, you'll never find it. A lot of our stuff comes from oral histories that have been passed on from one person to the next, from one family to the next. But there are countless remarkable Cherokee women, and the one that I want to start out with, we kind of have to journey back in time. Many of you may have read about her. You may have heard her name before. Her Cherokee name is Nanehi, and it's really hard to say, but it's Nanehi. The easier way to say her name is the English version of Nancy Ward. So why do I bring her up? Most of you may be familiar with the Trail of Tears, very well known, of a Holocaust that happened to the Cherokee people. And I want to highlight Nancy Ward because she was very instrumental during that time frame. She was born in 1738 and she died in 1822. She was a respected Cherokee leader, remembered for her roles not only as a mother and a grandmother, but she was also known as a war woman of Chota. Chota was a Cherokee village. She was also a beloved woman of the Cherokee Nation at that time. She famously saved a lot of the settlers' lives during the time when they were settling on Cherokee land, especially in the Tennessee area. The way she saved them through the harsh winters is she provided them with food. She provided them with ways and taught them how to survive on our land. What foods were good to gather, what herbs were medicinal, and how to grow their own gardens. Because the Cherokee people, we just didn't rely on hunting and gathering nuts and berries. We were the first agriculturalists. We were the first to actually create home and community gardens. And she taught that concept to the white settlers in the area, and it saved countless lives. So she is very well known for that. But she's also known for her speech that she delivered to the U.S. Treaty Commissioners. And this was right after a Cherokee family had been killed. And there was a lot of discourse among the community, among our tribe, because we had something that we called blood law. And that's kind of like do unto others as you would have do unto you. And we took that very seriously. So if a life was lost, not by natural means, it was taken, that gave that family, that Cherokee family, the right to take a life from the whoever it was that caused the life of their loved one. That was blood law. And that was determined by the Cherokee women when that was enacted. This is right after an instance where she was very concerned that blood law was not going to be enacted. And it was before the Trail of Tears. It was during the resistance period when we were fighting for our right to remain on our homelands. And she went to Washington to speak to the U.S. commissioners. And she started her speech with a very poignant statement, and I quote, let me get down to it. You never follow what you write. The statement that she delivered was done in 1781. She was speaking to the U.S. Treaty Commissioners, asserting women's importance at the time when women's opinions and their voice was very marginalized. She opened her speech with the statement, "We are your mothers. You are our sons." So think about that for just a moment. We as women are life bearers. We bring life to the world. And that's what she started with. We are your mothers. You are your sons. Remember where you come from. It's kind of interesting that when she made this statement, despite the British and American efforts to reduce women's influence in Cherokee affairs, her legacy endured. Although within 5 years of her death, Cherokee women lost the right to serve on our own tribal council. We lost the right to vote within our own tribe. Thankfully, that's no longer the case today. We actually have very many numerous tribal council representatives that have served multiple terms in our sovereign tribal government. Our tribal government mirrors the same government of the United States. The reason the Cherokee people chose to go that route and establish a government that mirrors was because they were told at that time that is the only way your voice will be heard. So just like we have a United States president that is elected, the Cherokee Nation has a principal chief that we elect. Just like we have a vice president, we also have a vice chief. Just like we have a House of Congress, House of Representatives, we have a tribal council. And within our communities, each community elects 2 representatives to serve on that tribal council. They serve 4-year terms, well, actually, tribal council serves 2-year terms. Principal chief and the vice chief serves 4-year terms. The vote for a tribal council representative is weighted, just like the U.S. government in the House of Congress. Their votes are also weighted based on population within our communities. That makes up our sovereign tribal government. Why is that even important today? Well, when I talk about the tribal government, I want to mention one lady, one woman. Her name is Bertha Vienna Sanook. She was born in 1914. She passed away in 1994. She was 80 years old. She was the wife of one of our principal chiefs, Osley Bird Sanook. And she served on the EBCI Tribal Council for over 25 consecutive years. That long-standing service, she was very influential in establishing a lot of our legislative ordinances, our laws, our codes that we go by. But there have been several other Cherokee women that have also served on tribal council, including Teresa McCoy, Anita Lossie, Marie Junaluska, Tommy Sanook, Lisa Taylor, and in 2025, last year, Vanita Wolf, Shannon Swimmer, and Chanel Feather, and Levita Hill were elected as tribal council representatives. Why is that important to know? Well, interestingly enough, the previous council was solely made up of men. Not one woman served on tribal council. And we as a tribe felt it very strongly, that imbalance. We were out of tohi. We were out of harmony. And we also dealt with, I don't know how to say this politically correct, but the chief that served at that time made a lot of foolish mistakes with the tribe's money. We went from a multi-billion-dollar tribal government down to where if everything had closed down like it did when we suffered from COVID, our government would have only been able to serve and stay open for 18 days. Yes. Because of that, the next chief that we elected, who is the current chief now, Chief Hicks, because we lived the following 2 years with a sole men-influenced tribal council, and we felt that imbalance, we knew as a Cherokee tribe we had to get women back in that office. And our women stepped forward. Not only one or two, which is normally the number that served on our tribal council during different terms, we elected, how many was that? Vanita, Shannon, Chanel, and Levita. We finally feel that new balance, that new tohi, even in our sovereign tribal government. But I also want to take you back a few years to another lady. Her name is Maggie Axe Wachacha. She was born in 1894 and died in 1993. She was a respected member of the EBCI. She was born in Snowbird, which is located near Robbinsville, North Carolina. She was a fluent Cherokee speaker, and she learned to read and write at the age of 7. By the age of 10, she became a respected midwife. 10 years old, birthing, helping to deliver babies. She learned that because it was passed down from her mother and her grandmother. Her midwife skills were well known, and as she grew up, she married Jarrett Wachacha. He was the great nephew of Junaluska. And she married him in 1935. And for over 40 years, Maggie served as a tribal council's Cherokee language interpreter. We had 2 at that time. We had one that interpreted everything in English and everything in Cherokee. They were separate people, they held separate positions. But she did this for over 40 years. What's also interesting, remind you, she lived in Snowbird in Robbinsville. Our government, our council house, is located on the Qualla boundary. Her and her husband walked more than 50 miles, and that's one way, to every tribal council meeting in her time. She was named a beloved woman in 1978 for her work preserving the Cherokee language and the culture, and she was later honored as one of Newsweek's 100 American heroes, and she also received the Distinguished Woman's Award bestowed on her by the state of North Carolina. She was just a clerk for our tribal council. But I also want to mention our first woman elected tribal principal chief. Her name was Joyce Dugan, and she's still alive today. She was born in 1952. She was a notable educator and a politician. She served from 1995 to 1999, so a term of 4 years. During her 4-year term, she oversaw the opening of Harris Cherokee Casino. She promoted economic growth, secured the return of the Gadua Mound, which is one of 7 historic sites of our mother towns. And when I say a mother town, it's archaeologically proven that we originated from that land. So Gadua Mound was one of the first mounds that was returned to the Cherokee people. But we had to buy our own land back to get that. Just like she mentioned, Naquashi has just recently been returned to us as well. That's been over 150 years that the Cherokee have tried to attain that site. So I celebrate today in knowing that another one of our mounds has been returned to us. But back to Joyce. She prioritized cultural revitalization and government restructuring during her tenure. Prior to her being elected, she was also the superintendent of Cherokee Central Schools. She continues to contribute to training programs at the casino, and she was named a Distinguished Woman of North Carolina in Education. The Chief Joyce Dugan Cultural Arts Center, which is located on the campus of our Cherokee Central Schools, was named after her, and it honors her for her dedication to education and the culture. But she's not the first Cherokee principal chief. There was one before her. She's the first, Joyce is the first of our Eastern Band of Cherokee principal chiefs. Wilma Mankiller was the first Cherokee woman to ever serve as a principal chief. She served for the Cherokee Nation located in Tahlequah, Oklahoma. Remember, the Cherokee people, us as a nation, us as a tribe, were split. The Eastern Band is the small group that were able to remain in these mountains after the Trail of Tears. Everyone else that was forced to go to Tahlequah, Indian Territory at the time in Oklahoma. So Wilma Mankiller is the first elected female chief, but she's the chief of the Cherokee Nation in Tahlequah. She was born on November 18, 1945, and she passed away April 6 of 2010. She was a Native American activist, a social worker, and a community developer. She became the first woman elected as principal chief of the Cherokee Nation. She was born in Tahlequah, Oklahoma. She lived on her family's land in Adair County until she was 11 years old. Her family moved to San Francisco as a part of a federal program designed to urbanize indigenous Americans. This program was developed by the federal government with the intention that if you take a Native family away from its surroundings, you pull them off the reservation that the U.S. government put us on, you pull them away from the reservations and you displace them and move them to an urban area, a huge city, that will cause that family, that Native family, and it wasn't just Cherokee, but that Native family to become more colonized quicker. And they would assimilate into what most of us know as white culture. So that was also a way the federal government tried to take the Indian out of us. Does that make sense? I hope so. But it was just a way for them to assimilate us into colonized life. But after finishing school, Wilma Mankiller married a successful Ecuadorian man, and she raised 2 daughters. She was inspired by social and political movements in the 1960s, and she participated in the occupation of Alcatraz, and later engaged in land and compensation struggles with the Pitt River tribe, which is located in northeast California. That's where that tribe is located. So she didn't just help us as a Cherokee nation, she also helped other tribal nations as well. So she was very interested in the Pitt River tribe, and she helped them. And in the early 1970s, she worked for 5 years as a social worker, mainly focusing on children's issues. When she returned to Oklahoma in 1976, the Cherokee Nation hired her as an economic stimulus coordinator. Her skills in documentation made her a very effective grant writer. And by the early 1980s, she directed the tribe's new community development department. And as that director, she devised and managed innovative projects empowering rural citizens to identify and address their own challenges, often through collaborative labor. So she didn't forget where she came from. She knew she was born on a reservation, moved away, came back. But she didn't just help those people around her. She helped people spread out through the entire continental United States. Her project in Bell, Oklahoma, became the subject of a film. Have any of you guys seen the movie, The Cherokee Word for Water? It was directed by Charlie Soap and Tim Kelly. And in 2015, the movie was recognized as the top American Indian film by the American Indian Film Institute. Her Kenwood project received a Certificate of National Merit from the Department of Housing and Urban Development. Her management talents attracted the attention of the principal chief, Ross Swimmer, who invited her to run with him in his next election as his deputy. They're in Cherokee Nation. There's a principal chief, but the vice chief is not called a vice chief. They're called a deputy chief. So he invited her to run with him, and they were both elected. When Chief Swimmer accepted a position at the Bureau of Indian Affairs, Wilma Mankiller, because she was the deputy, stepped up and assimilated, or she was elevated to the principal chief position of the Cherokee Nation in Tahlequah, Oklahoma. And she served until 1995. During her administration, she built new health clinics, established a mobile eye care clinic, established a 911 system, and launched the emergency ambulance service out there. And she also introduced early education and adult education programs for the Cherokee people. And she expanded even the job training programs that were available to them. She developed revenue streams, including factories, retail outlets, restaurants, a bingo operation, and helped establish self-governance for the Cherokee Nation. But after leaving politics, she didn't stop. Wilma continued her advocacy work to improve the image of Native Americans and combat misappropriation of our Native heritage. She authored books, including the best-selling autobiography titled Mankiller, The Chief and Her People, and delivered numerous lectures on healthcare, tribal sovereignty, women's rights, and she was a huge advocate for cancer awareness. Throughout her life, she faced a lot of health challenges, including polycystic kidney disease, myasthenia gravis, lymphoma, breast cancer, and she had 2 kidney replacements, transplants. She died in 2010 from pancreatic cancer. and was honored with many local, state, and national awards. And if I had to list them, that list would be about that long. She was awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom. And in 2021, it was announced that Wilma Mankiller's likeness would appear on the U.S. $quarter coin as part of the U.S. Mint's American Women's series. She was awesome. That's all I can say. But I have a lot of, many people, many women that I could mention. I've had a lot of mentors throughout my life, and I want to mention one. Her name is Kathy Littlejohn. Has anyone heard that name before? Has anyone heard her speak or tell stories? She is internationally renowned for her storytelling. She is a historian for Cherokee people and our culture. She's shared Cherokee stories for over 40 years and has been leading the Cherokee History Tours since 2020. So we actually do tours for Cherokee cultural sites. And I've done tours here in Franklin for Cowee, for Naquashi, for the Twin Mounds that we have here. I do places around Cherokee. I also go to Graham County and Cherokee County. I learned all this from Kathy. She's at the time in her life when she's ready to retire and slow down. And so she's pushing me toward doing a lot more of these cultural tours. And so we work hand in hand a lot of the times. But she is one of my mentors. But she's not only a storyteller. When she worked for the tribe, she created our transit service that we have in Cherokee. Because of that, in October 2020, prior to her retirement, the Tribal Council unanimously resolved to rename the Cherokee Transportation Center in her honor, recognizing her significant contributions to the tribal community and public transportation on the Qualla boundary. Kathy is known for her compassion, her commitment, and her leadership, and is highly respected by those who know her. But she is a cherished part of my life, and that's why I mention her today. Now, I want to share a little bit more about myself. And I'll give the good and the bad. Going back to Towhee, without one, you can't have the other. So, basically, the bad, I dropped out of high school because I was one of those dreaded teenage mothers at the time. I wound up becoming pregnant during my junior year, and I had my first son during my senior year. And at that time, if you were pregnant, they didn't want you in school. So I was asked to drop out. But I didn't just drop out. I went and immediately got my GED because I didn't want to forget everything I had up here. I went and got my GED from Southwestern Community College. And I continued my education on, and I earned 2 associate's degrees, one in general education, that's the first one you ever get, but I went on and got a second degree in emergency medical sciences. While I was in school, I wound up going through a divorce from my husband. Mind you, I have 3 children at the time, so I then became a single mother. And I raised those 3 kids on my own. And today I have 3 beautiful grandchildren that I love dearly. I served my tribe for about 27 and a half years, and I retired after those 27 and a half years. But I worked as a North Carolina State paramedic in the back of an ambulance. But I didn't stop there. I also earned my pediatric and adult critical care nursing degree as well. So for a period of time, I served as a nurse in a helicopter as well. So it wasn't just land ambulances, also in the air. But I retired from my tribe after 27 and a half years, and I thought to myself, what am I going to do with the second half of my life? So I came back to what I know best, and that's my culture. That's my traditions. That's my belief. And I picked up my art once again, and that grounded me so very much. And that's why I consider myself a multimedia artist. Like she mentioned, I do all kinds of things. But my passion is with shell carving, because that is the one thing that when most people are asked about Cherokee art, they automatically think about our baskets, our pottery, our beadwork, things of that nature. But have you ever heard Cherokee shell carving? Very little. But there's a lot of it. In all our mounds, you will always find Cherokee shell carving. A lot of the shell carvings were used during burials and ceremonies. But I want to revitalize that art form and bring it back. So I have been doing numerous workshops and classes to start teaching how to do the shell carving once again for our Cherokee people. But I also had a mentor. He's not a woman, but his name is Dan Townsend. He was Muskogee and Cherokee. He lives in Florida. And he came up here to Cherokee one summer and done a workshop. And I took that workshop and I loved it. And it spoke to me. It spoke to my tohi, my harmony, my balance and center. And because of that, I advocate and I do whatever I can to revitalize that as a Cherokee art form once again. But I also do a lot of other things. I do beadwork, I do pine needle basketry, I do pottery. It would be easier for me to tell you what I don't do than it is to tell you what I actually do. But the other thing is I wanted to follow in my father's footsteps and become a storyteller. And because of that, it has opened doors for me that I never dreamed possible. And it has taken me places that I didn't think I would ever go. I have lectured for the University of Charlotte, the University of Asheville. I've been to UT. I've done numerous storytelling sessions as well as lectures in a lot of different places, too many for me to name today. But that's just a little bit about myself. I also serve as the vice chair for our Wolftown community in Cherokee. Last year, I served for 2 years as the secretary of our community. This year, back in October, I was elected into the vice chair seat. Last year, between grant writing, I brought in over $170,000 to the Wolftown community in grants. One of the grants that I wrote for was for a grant to the Cherokee Preservation Foundation to be able to purchase a tractor, a Kubota tractor, and interestingly enough, it was bought here in Franklin. A Kubota tractor with all the attachments, and one of the biggest things that we needed a tractor for was so that we could go out and start helping families because of the scarcity of food to start implementing their own gardens once again. As well as our community has 2 community gardens. One is in a retirement center, and that one's elevated so that those that live in the retirement center do not have to be on their hands and knees to garden. They can stand there, or they can sit in a chair and do their gardening and harvest the food that's grown in that particular garden. The other one, the community garden itself, we grow food and disperse it to anybody and everybody that needs it. During the SNAP gap, we gave out, I can't even count how many pounds of food in produce, eggs, and meats to families during that SNAP gap that we endured. So I'm a big time community. I'm involved in my community a lot. But I'm the chairwoman of our Constitution Development Center, or committee. The Cherokee people at this time the Eastern Band of Cherokee do not have a constitution. We work under a charter. Charter in this day and time is not enough. And we know we need a true constitution at this point. The committee itself has been trying to reach that goal of creating a constitution for about 10 years now. And I just recently took on the challenge to become the chairwoman of that committee. I think I've served for 5 months now. But I'm also a board member of the Museum of the Cherokee People as well. And I currently reside with my mom and dad, where I'm their full-time caregiver. Just like they cared for me when I was a baby, it's my turn to care for them. So I'm stepping up to take care of that and fill that role. But there are many more notable women that I could mention, but we're out of time. But in conclusion, I want to mention that Cherokee women have always had a voice. We have never been silenced. From the opposition of the forced removal, we found strength and resilience. In our traditional culture, we continue to hold an association with the land and our centrality to not only family but to community as well. We honor our Cherokee core values, which are still practiced by all Native men and women within our tribe today. And the history of Cherokee woman is not one of a declining status or a lost culture, but one of persistence and change, conservatism and adaptation. Tragedy and survival also has to be mentioned, but also empowerment and artistry of life that will prevail for generations to come. I have one last thing, and that's the word ski. It's the way that it's a Cherokee word, very easy to say, one syllable, ski. English translation means thank you, but to the Cherokee people, it means so much more. It's more than just thank you. It's an appreciation and a gratitude, not only for me being here today to speak to you all and to all the Zoomies, but also ski to our Creator, ski to everything around us, because it is also our responsibility to ensure that what we leave behind for future generations is worthy of their being able to be life-sustaining. So thank you for hearing me today. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Nancy, we are so deeply grateful that you have brought Cherokee culture and specifically Cherokee women to us. It is an immense blessing. Thank you so, so much. We are also grateful for the diverse gifts of time, talent, and treasure that are given by so many in love and in hope. Please join me in the dedication of our gifts. All gifts given in love and hope continue a cycle of love and hope. Thank you for your support. All financial gifts are appreciated. There is an offering plate at the sanctuary entry, where there are also stamped addressed envelopes to mail. Donations are also welcome electronically, including a PayPal link at our website and on the UU View. There's also a celebration jar here and a basket for coffee hour donations downstairs. As we prepare for joys and concerns, please know they will be edited out before being posted online. A pebble cast into a pond causes ripples that spread in all directions. We now invite you to share the joys and concerns you carry in your hearts. This is a time to speak what matters most to you, celebrations that lift your spirit, worries that weigh upon you, gratitude that fills you, or needs for which you seek support. Your words matter here. Your experiences matter here. You matter here. If you'd like, you're welcome to share a brief special joy or concern, and I'll drop a pebble in the water. We'll begin with those on Zoom and follow with those from the sanctuary. Invite those to line up by the piano. A last final pebble as we acknowledge our shared joys and concerns, our celebrations and struggles, our hopes and our heartaches. May we know that we do not carry our burdens alone, and that our joys are multiplied when shared. May we hold one another gently in our hearts, remembering we belong to one another. Now I invite you into a minute of silence. You may choose to meditate, pray, reflect on something you've heard here today, or simply sit silently in community with others, and I'll bring you back with the chimes. Our closing words. Go now in gratitude for the women who shaped your life. Go with respect for the wisdom carried in every culture. May we walk gently upon the earth, honor the voices of those who came before us, and help create a world where every girl and every woman can live with dignity, freedom, and joy. Let us go forward together in courage, in compassion, and in hope. Our closing song is There Is More Love Somewhere. Our chalice extinguishing. As we extinguish this flame, we do not let its light disappear. The light of courageous women, past and present, travels with us into the world. May we carry their strength in our actions, their compassion in our relationships, and their vision of justice in the work we do together. Though this flame is gone from our sight, its spirit burns within us. Thank you for joining us today. We know you have many options on how to spend your Sunday morning, and we're deeply grateful that you chose to be in community with us. Following service, Nancy will stop by the tech table to visit the Zoomies and then join the Roomies to chat during coffee time downstairs in Celebration Hall. Visitors, some of our more extroverted members and friends will use red cups. You can easily find the folks who love to chat. Next Sunday, we celebrate our fellowship with Jude Lowry, our UUFF president, yay, with a humor and joy-filled presentation titled, Here the Porch Light is Always On. Please rise in body or spirit. Those in the sanctuary may choose to hold hands for our covenant. A little creative shape here, yay. Wonderful. Terrific. One more hand, Bruce, and we'll be good. Yay. Love is the spirit of this fellowship, and community is its goal. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. So may it be. And now let's turn to the doorway again and wave goodbye to our Zoomies, and they will wave goodbye to us. We can see them on the screen.